Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Poetry Festival Singapore. And this is Kaleidoscope Poetry, brought to you by PGN or the Poetry Global Network, and of course, Poetry Festival Singapore 2023. And today we are celebrating a book that has been published to showcase the journey of the poets and their poetry across the many continents that tells our story. So today, let us travel through the different stories, the different persons, the different tales, the different heartaches, the different wisdoms that people possess in this book. So have a great ride with us tonight. And we're very excited to have you for Kaleidoscope Poetry. And we are going to start off with someone who is very, very special to me. And also for a lot of the communities all around the world. Now, let's all welcome someone that is going to be performing live here in Manila, in the Philippines. And if you can see, we are actually in a live event right now. This is Poetry Festival Singapore. This is a story of how poetry travels everywhere, whatever platform. So, the first poet I'm going to introduce to you tonight is, well, let's just say he is an advertiser during the day, but poet every single time. And he is based in Manila, here in the Philippines, and he is the host of Poetry Global Network's Bottoms Up, which is widely considered as the most inclusive platform of the arts in Zoom world. So Lawin also, well, you know what? He had also been featured at Nottingham Poetry Festival and also founding member of the Poetry Global Network, Ltd UK. That's all welcome, please, from here in Bistro 62 and also in the Zoom world there at Poetry Festival Singapore. So welcome, Lawin Bulatao.
Um, yeah, so I understand that the theme given was about children, which is really, a transit, a travel, a migration of stories. And if you really want to dive into that, you cannot avoid the transport and transit and travails that happen in this thing called love. And as many of us know, in spite of this massively digitized life and world, love is not something you can reduce to an algorithm. It is not something you can reduce to a typeface. It is events inevitably handmade. This is cursive. Her penmanship was a cascade of swirls and curls, much like her hair, and as undecipherable, making it hard to tell between I love you and goodbye. Does she mean for good or for better? Because the difference between the two is forever. The ink smudges where perhaps a tear fell. Bittersweet stain, the alchemy of joy and pain. The punctuation bothers me, gives me pause. Is this comma here just because? The same way I questioned the nose ring one street lamp lit evening long ago. Doesn't it bother you when you have a cold? Her laugh was the only explanation I ever got. And you know what? Beauty that has to be annotated and explained is probably not. So, Syllable and syllable braid and link, connecting one point to another in a web of arsenic and ink, transfixing me almost as certainly as her arms around me. These knots demanding, untying, unraveling, as if to sort them out would solve anything at all. As if the act would lead to something other than a fall. Maybe, just maybe, there's a twist there towards the end after all. The letter's end creeps slowly up on me as I continue to dodge the point, which, after all the twists and turns, is quite simple. Simple the way an ice pick in the chest is simple. But words that I sadly am. I bury my face in her curls instead. Thank you very much.
That was Arin Bulatan from PGN here in Manila, and he's gonna be doing his second poem now in his set. But we're gonna go somewhere else, and that is actually up north in Tokyo.
Bye, Singapore.
All right. Okay. So our next poet for today hails from Tokyo, is a rapper and performance poet in Japan. As an active member of Kotaba Slam Japan, or KSJ, the National Spoken Word Slam Championships in Japan, he organizes the West Tokyo Tournament. He also co-hosts the same Kotaba Online Open Mic, Japan's first regular open mic event that welcomes performers from all over the world. It has gathered more than 250 entries in 1.5 years. Starting his career in 2016, he won a freestyle MC battle in Tokyo and has created rap songs. In 2018, he started writing poetry and his stage reading performance. He also joined the Japanese Poetry Slams in 2002. He won the first prize in Japan and became the first finalist of the National Grand Championship that will be held in December. Let's all welcome from Tokyo, Takaki Umino.
Hi, thank you for introducing me. So, hello everyone, this is Takaki from Japan, a rapper and performance poet sometimes. Yes, today I'm gonna read my poem, my favorite and yeah, the world's favorite poem from Takaki, maybe. Yes, actually this is about McDonald's shop in my hometown, but this poem brought me to through online the world, all around the world, like United States, Philippines, India, and yes, today Singapore. And yes, I'm gonna read this in Japanese, so let me show you guys some translation. Right, this is called Chicken Crisp Rhapsody. きっとその歯並びをかたどった表面は私がかじりつくよりも前から覚悟を決めて胸を張っていたのだと思う。ふっくらとして見えてその実、一度突き破れば驚くほどサクリと組織は引きちぎれ、白くて柔らかい岩肌が顔を表す。対象の半径を超える一口はあまりに従前で百姓の繊細とは言えない舌をまんべんなく踊る。巨大資本の味がするマヨネーズとスパイスが私の顔を抱きしめ、つかの間幸福なため息が鼻から抜ける。This is Everything's gonna be alright 的な歌詞が大嫌いなやつのための100円目標。I'll be always on your side みてえなノリに嫌気がさしたやつのためのチキンクリスピよ。 戦後米の国に米と呼ばれた国から流れ込んだ金の塊が生み落とした過度な脂肪と食塩のファンタジーから授かった肥満、2型糖尿病、脂質異常症を指して鼻をつまむてめえよ。低価格、低栄養価、高カロリーの教科書にくだらない落書きを残す勇気もないてめえよ。低所得層の子供の健康を安全圏から憂うてめえよ。ファストフードで過剰なカロリーと塩分を摂取しないために創造的な解決策を見つける必要が、うるせえよ、ぶちのめっそ。贅沢はこれで育ってきてんだよ。消費者が先行的な選択をできるよう、うるせえよ、ぶちのめっそ。これで何度だって死なずにいられたんだよ。1個80円か100円か120円かを指して気にも留めない人たちなら一遍で直せてめえこの野郎。いいか、炭酸はシャンパンじゃねえ。散々な目に当てたって流し込むファンザグレープだろう。炭酸電池がリチウムイオンバッテリーに変わってからも、胃袋が充電式に変わらない今も、今や3つ一気に頼んでも戸惑いや躊躇に苛まれることはなくなっても、その歯並びをかたどった表面は、私がかじりつくよりも前から再会に胸を震わせているのだろう。ふっくらとして見えてその実、突き破られているのに心なしか、また会えて嬉しいと囁いているようにさえ聞こえる。2021年疲れ果てた竹の塚、22時を過ぎても入り口を突き破る行列の神経をつなぐ。潰れたフィリピンパブのネオンの味がするマヨネーズとスパイスが死ななかった日を見せ、束の間飲み込むのに手こずる淡い涙がにじむ。This is Everything's gonna be alright 的な歌詞が大嫌いなやつのための100円マッキよ。I'll be always on your side みてえなノリに嫌気がさしたやつのためのチキンクリスピよ。Sorry, I don't know about why, but the translation is maybe half, but this is my poem. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce the next poet. Right. So let me read his bio. Wait a minute. Okay, next performer is David Leo Sirowa. David Leo Sirowa is a Canadian-American poet published 148 times in 25 countries. His work has been translated into 12 languages such as Hindi, French, Spanish, and Greek. He hosts Spoken World Online, the Zoom continuation of Spoken Word Paris. His first collection, Humble Dove, third prize in winning Winter's Virgil Flump Humor Poetry Contest. Honored for his contribution to world literature by the Fertile Brains Literary Group in India. Poetry in journals such as the Bombay Review, Alchemist Journal, One Hand Clapping, and Terre Seal. Singer and songwriter, radio DJ, and actor, submitting 5 manuscripts for publication. Right, so let's call for David. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Takaki. All right, I am going to share my screen in order to share my heart. Here we are. Cinnamon winter, ginger spring, sugar summer, chocolate autumn. In the nautical night, I was captain and captive of my own wind-blown ship, the apocalypse. I hung onto ellipses of empty early hours, steering the boat of my bed until it crashed into the absolute madness of another morning. Half dead with dread of alarm clock, red electric tick-tock terror of having to be somewhere at some serious, accurate minute for alcohol poverty money. Lost on Boston's bank clock face, lid of all official offices. Panic attacks in bathrooms hidden from the team. Anxious against my will, work contracts meant cork stuck in my green glass boards to stopper all opinions, visions, solitude, silence, freedom, and time, with only the faux liberty of the lunch hour to cheer me with its bland, unpaid taste of vacation. Sated, sadist grimaces of plastic bastards who cut my check, 1/4 of it cut off from my fat, illiterate country's illusory liberty, plus hospital hospitality. How they savored muffled power laughter when I stepped through the always open closed door. My heart-shaped face stuck out like a second moon, lost and looking for the sky on the corporate hypocrite horizon, brow bare enough to reveal real feeling and confidential doctor's office stress. Stress of refusing to report for duty in a casual cardboard outfit, paid to have my face painted beige. Depressed, undiagnosed days passed. I called in sick to drink at home. Fast forward to France. At ecstatic spoken word gatherings, I sang poems on the stages of open secret seances. Stellar fevers of poetics begin at 9 o'clock in the crowded good company of my one true family. Artists, writers, orphans, lovers, AWOL in the basements of penniless Paris weekly poetry parties. Eternal student, attracted to every soul on the stage of the spoken world, paper face of earth. Brothers, sisters, children of in the beginning was the word, do what makes you feel God in your closed closet chest with a wrenching in the heart like falling in love. Sweet silences between the lines of every honest song of songs. 7 rounds of cinnamon winter, ginger spring, sugar summer, chocolate autumn, chased down with cheap sparkling wine, bubbly and bitter at the same time. Sons and daughters of days with flavor. Let's give this life thing a whirl again, damn it, because the beat up bass drum of our own persistent heart of humanness keeps its beat freely as a forgotten clock. I must shut up. It's time to sing in verse for a few minute minutes of warmth wrapped in the rapt attention of fellow human beings in love with meaning. Music made of words, soundtrack to the quest for quiet contentment, the fluent breath of song intoxication, whispers blissful liberation. Thank you so much. And I'm going to introduce a poet very dear to me, Finn Bell. Finn Bell is a San Francisco Bay Area poet, writer, and co-director of the Poetry Global Network, as well as the creator of Finnitabulary online open mic and programs. This year, it has been her honor to have her work included in the Poetry Global Network's first anthology, Kaleidoscopoetry. Finn has one poetry collection out titled Some Days Here. He is passionate about crafting events and programs that make the literary arts accessible widely. You can follow her on Instagram as @Finn_Bell and on Twitter @FinnBell. To connect with her in more ways, you can go to, and there's a Linktree address here that I can put in the chat. And please go right ahead, Finn Bell.
You're on mute, Finn, you're on mute.
Finn, we can't hear you.
I think she was miming that she would go in and come back.
Oh.
And she's returning.
Oh.
Apologies, can you guys hear me now? Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction, David. Good morning from the San Francisco Bay Area. My name is Finn Bell. And the poem I wanted to share today actually originally was an ode to my star sign, which is Pisces. As I was writing it, it kind of turned into something else, and it kind of also spoke to my love of Greek mythology. So this is called The Odyssey, Two Fish Swimming. Will you become crystalline in the constellations with me? I am goddess divine of love and fervor, of chaos and nightmare. Won't you swing with me, tempting a brooding Neptune to leap from his murky depths, to swallow me as I sat astride him, and teasing a stern Jupiter to compress my heavenly body beneath his mighty heft. I am of Hydra and Kraken. Heads multiply and limbs wind around. Your neck, you are in awe, voyeur mortal, as we combust into newborn bands of light, leaking primordial lust. Ecstasy is contagious. Cronus erases the meaning of time as we rewind, move forward, and return infinite deaths and rebirth in our cosmic embrace. We are making sweet space music as we pass by, siren tales catching upon stars' edges, bringing you along with us with our cosmic whirl as we merge these titans anatomica. All the universe scrambles to take communion on the last drop of ambrosia. I am of Telus. I dance with the shadows that mock the hollows in the trees where mother birds stored threads of borrowed golden fleece, and of Selene wishing companions into being, so Eos would not have to pine for craven humans. And I have felt the cool of being dead and of Morta, wedded to the ground, washing every upturned face pale in the light of the moon. Can you imagine the colors we create as we dance across a waning star on its way to join kindred heroes in the sky? I long to know if it worries you at all that this revelation, all 9 muses conceived of their own release in the pool that held Venus captive. Were you there, bearing witness in the beginning when she shaped their souls in the wet sand that lapped at the foamy waters of her overflowing breast? When you awoke, shipwrecked? Which of my fathoms did you pretend you conquered and claimed? You treading at the shallow end, you who feared the maelstrom, saying, my sea green looked peaceful, unspoiled, should remain supine, to kiss your feet as you hide among lilac clouds. Come out and play, baby boy creation. I have parted the ocean and land. History records how Calypso tossed you your spark and bolt ego salad on her waves. Who's the one who won't let you go? Passion is obsession, is deception, is compassion. She lulls, tropical storm whispers into your flattered ear. Circe could care less, could care more, has cared more. What does it matter to you? Mother, sister, lover, you want the fantasy when you cannot see the enchantress above or the sea nymph below. And now you find yourself too addicted. Boys playing at seafaring heroes find in the end that they cannot leave. While you slumbered and ignored the weather, lover, I changed my visage 3 times before you awoke, 3 more times as you walked away. Why? Does cowardice make you believe every divinity in creation is the Janus-faced monster crossing your path? We are women, only women. And because of this, you weep. Thank you. It is my supreme pleasure to introduce the next person coming up to the mic, one of our wonderful PGN members. We like to know her, we like to call her Sunny, but she is Sunaina Pal. Sunaina Pal was born and raised in Mumbai, India, and currently resides in Maryland with her family. She's a poet and author of Refugees in Their Own Country, which is by B&W Fountain, which explores the partition of India. Her poetry is widely published in international journals and anthologies. Sunaina is also the director of the Poetry Academy and practices heartful meditation. You could visit her website at sunainapal.com for more information.
That was such a lovely introduction, Finwell. Thank you so much. I have a very, very short poem called Puzzles. It's from the book Refugees in Their Own Country, which was luckily accepted in Kaleidoscopoetry. You know, this poem is actually about the Indian partition. It really pains me to know that it is so much valid in other countries as well. I really wish, and that it didn't happen like that. The poem is titled Puzzles. I have solved many of various kinds, but I can't piece together the lies that fed men or continue to fight against the country they once belonged to. When India and Pakistan partitioned, nobody realized that when they fought together like brothers, they would end up fighting themselves. And I'm glad this poetry can reach many people through this wonderful platform. And I really hope there's peace on earth. Just like Finwell, it's really a big honor for me to introduce our next poet. Nicholas Paleogoulos is a poet, spoken word artist, host, and cosplayer who lives in New Jersey. Since 2020, he has performed online and in-person open mics, including the New Yorkian Poets Cafe. He was featured at the NYC Poetry Festival in 2021 and 2022. He used to host a bi-weekly open mic and workshop called Right to the Mic with The World is Right. He also has facilitated workshops with OA Group, Tumblewords, Project, and Finicabulary. He has worked on contributed to 3 anthologies, Quarantine, I Can't Breathe, and Love Letters to Gaia. His first book, Ad versus Reaction, is available for purchase through himself or Read or Green Books. Thank you again.
And thank you for that awesome introduction. So good to be amongst you all again. I know it's been a while. With that said, let's go to the poem from the anthology Kaleidoscopoetry. This one's called Cleaning the Bones Out. I spent 12 hours of my life cleaning out the skeletons in my room. The chest, the closet was the last place I'd expect any clarity. Lots of memories here, lots of clothes that had fallen down. Disguises upon disguises of a former life.
My room disappeared on me. I didn't recognize the glass floor I stood upon, or the four walls which were preyed upon. Clothes, plastic wrapping, tossed to the side, like memories of the past, buried in a trash compactor. A shoebox of X Factors was thrown away. My past is my past, no matter the objects thrown away. That doesn't matter here. Not in that 12 hours I toiled up and down stairwell after stairwell to throw it all away. A half-court heave of dust balls vacuumed away, spiders left in dismay. All I wanted was a haven to call my own, to unload my troubles when I'm all alone. I didn't have this for years. I organized and sorted out the bullshit. A real change has happened today. I cleaned my room. I know it might not be a huge difference in your life. It made the world to me. I kicked my depression out for a day to clean it up. Go on and call me dirty. I resurrected myself above the glass which I stood upon, molded a new floor of wood and carpet with dressers to store my gear and books, tore down the bones of my walls, fed the very ravenous decor with liberation. For in that moment, I felt like me, the one I've been waiting for since I was 14. And that'll be all from me in terms of poetry, but not in terms of me speaking. I'd like to introduce this next amazing person, who's also a poet too as well, amongst many, many other things too. The ever so lovely Serene. Serene currently resides in the U.S. beautiful Pacific Northwest. She started posting her poetry and photography in March 2020 on Instagram. She has been published in several diverse publications, as well as many features from various poetry platforms. She has performed in a multitude of online open mics in the US and internationally. Serene is also a member of the Poetry Global Network as its chief designer officer. She is co-host of the popular online open mic event Bottoms Up, which features poets from around the world. As a survivor of abuse and trauma, her poetry often reveals her sojourn through heartache, loss, rage, and redemption. Serene, the floor is all yours.
Oh, thank you, Nick. It's so good to be here with all of you guys. Love you all. I'm going to read The End of the Crawl. Chest aching, stress pressing down like a ton of bricks. Tears threaten to spill, yet they are held back by floodgates. Burial inside the heart is underway, paralyzed. Burdens carried far too long, now beckon release. Look over the precipice, then free fall, down, down, down. Feet never touch the ground as spirit bursts in two. A black night of demons flies out one side into the sea. A white dove like angels flies out the other side into the expanse. Flesh no more, soul now whole. The end of the crawl, back to abuse. Thanks, everybody. And I am going to introduce our next poet, Frog Corpse. Frog is a poet, vocalist, and photographer from Louisville, Kentucky. In 2011, he published a memoir, The Morning Hour, released on October 30th, 2022. And in 2012, the Morning Hour showcased at the London Book Fair. And in 2014 through 2022, Frog performed spoken word at Gonzo Fest. And for those of you that do not know, Gonzo Fest is a Louisville event celebrating the work, life, and legacy of Hunter S. Thompson. In 2019, Frog also wrote a guest blog for 48 Hour Books. In 2020, he performed in a slam poetry event hosted by Sully Breaks. In 2022, he performed as Hop Frog in Poe versus Lovecraft, Tales from Beyond the Grave, a radio play in partnership with the Jeffersonville Township Library, Company Outcast, he's got a long list, guys, sorry, and the SOIN Tourism Board of Indiana, sorry. And he also is featured in poetry, his poetry by Cajun Mutt Press, Necro Magazine, Artifact, Nouveau Magazine, LEO Weekly, Written Tales Magazine, Ponder Savant, Red Penguin, Poetry Global Network, The Woody Creeker, and Poetry Superhighway. Take it away, Frog.
Hacks and Craft. I found my love on the precipice of a teetering cedar, and tumbrel water by gibbet hands I greet her. Tiber knowledge, splitting pear to feed fear, besom smile, sweeping features from leaf litter, and hacks and ride, pole she's climbing to fifth gear, a coven riled by her sovereign seas that salt built, and alder piles, reed and wind as broom pills, ashen house, rubbing wand ignites the wicker, circle calls, her cauldron bubbles dripping clear, dancing wild, under owl, a night seer, lunar heights, blessed be the reaching near of a night, bewitching cries rang from field as she came. It is with my pleasure that I introduce this next poet that I have been friends with for 3 years now. A native New Yorker, Mark Fishbein graduated the City College of New York in 1971 and attended the Sorbonne in Paris. He has 7 collections of poetry available, his latest being Reflections in the Time of Trumpius Maximus, published by Atmosphere Press in 2021. He is Chancellor of Poetry Global Network Poetry Academy, hosting workshops, classes, and Planet Poetry 28, which is a unique monthly online poetry journal. Also known as Poet with a Guitar, Mark also plays musically and professionally. He is also a part of the American Book Review. His poetry is also featured at the Chicago Global Poetry Festival, and Mark is currently residing in Chicago, Illinois. Take it away, Mark Fishbein. Thank you.
Thank you, Frog. I'll read a poem tonight from our anthology, which has some connection to the sojourn, the theme of tonight. I chose the train as my metaphor. We're all passengers on a train of history in the daily transformations of civilization. All of you, from far away, and me, we're all part of it. This poem is a lament. There are times we are hopeful, and there are times we are not so hopeful, or as the Brazilians say, filled with saudades. I'll play a short interpretation of guitarist Pat Metheny's Last Train Home to introduce my poem. man's fate, train of fate, farewell to the life I knew. I'm but a passenger staring at the ruins, passing dim cities, burnt jungles, parched farms, like a millipede lost on the sand dunes of time. I was in a trance, in a style with another age, a rider on a turn of the century locomotive, comfortably reading about the miracles to come, ignoring the signs that warned of doom in evolution to a collapsing atmosphere. We enjoyed such wonders as was never known, only to end in this siege of hurricanes, melting glaciers, and swelling anarchy. Ahead are platforms with populations waiting, their possessions haunched on their backs. They would charge past barbed wired barriers to steal my place to watch the world go by. But the doors are bolted and curtains drawn. Quickly coal is emptied in the tender car, and I am off in a cloud of white whistles, a survivor, without destination, without hope. Now old and privileged, I'm trying to stay calm on tracks that never meet and just go on. In the future, there must be a final station, a destination not yet on the map. A window seat, cushions against my back. There's no stop it with this chugging to nowhere as headlines suck the light from the parlor car. Train of destiny, farewell to the life I knew. Thank you. Now I'll be introducing our next poet, Via B. Via B. Priyanjali Bantoa Hoffman, also known by her pen name, Via B, is a writer-poet and author from the Mauritius. She has a bachelor's degree in science, a degree in social work, and also holds advanced diploma in counseling and psychology. She has been an active member of the poetry community, social media head, and at the Poetry Global Network, UK, a published author in 5 anthologies, and a consistent freelance writer, editor, as well as translator. My pleasure, Via B.
Thank you very much, Mark, and it's nice to be here with all of you after such a long time. So today I'm going to be reading one of the poems that got accepted for the anthology, and it has a background in ancient times of women being labeled as witches, or it was also inspired by the Salem witches trial as well. So it's kind of an imagination of how it would have been if they could have one day of a chance of being with a lover, you know, something which is not an ordinary situation for them. So here it goes. I wish I could remember that first day, first hour, first moment of our meeting. Seems like constellations danced away that night. Yet unrecorded was it that it now slowly slips away. All of the pieces were torn and thrown. You should know where I'm coming from. For my darkness engulfs me in a cloak of sage and candles. Your ways are so mysterious, and yet I find myself for you so serious. So blind was I, to see and to foresee, so dull to make the blossom of my heart that would not bloom for another fall. It seemed to mean so little to you, yet it meant so much to my little heart. If only now I could recall that touch, the first touch of hand in hand, fingers intertwined, the softest kiss of your prayers, a glimpse of your world, our secret from the world turning me on the inside since that first day. Thank you. And now I would very happily introduce my dear friend Martin, who I connected through the PGN, working there. Martin Gray is a Nottingham, UK-based poet, and when he's not teaching English as a second language, he is the co-director of World Jam, a non-profit for connecting communities through poetry and music. He's also a co-host of Lengas, a monthly online multilingual open mic, and the co-founder of Poetry Global Network. His first collection, The Pretty Boys of Gangster Town, was published in September 2020 by Fly on the Wall. He has performed extensively around the UK Midlands and as far afield as Berlin, Glastonbury, and Edinburgh Fringe, including the BBC Edinburgh Fringe Slam and co-running the Edinburgh Show, a DIY poetry fix in 2019. He often wonders if people keep mistaking him for the poet they actually wanted and are too polite to tell him, but he plans to keep on going until he's right. So I give you Martin Gray.
Thank you, Veer, for that lovely introduction, and thank you to everyone who's been on so far. I've really been enjoying this, so I hope you like this poem coming up. So I'm from one of those places where it feels like nothing ever changes, except things do change, and even if they didn't, we change. So this is called New Builds. Hey, remember when the new builds were new? You know, those ones that used to be a factory near Nan's old place, the other side of the railway? Remember I took a photo of its roof from my old bedroom? One of those lustreless 6x4 next day pickups saves you more than a half-return photos from that camera where the viewfinder always pointed a little bit to the left? Do you remember what they made there? What it was called? Remember Dad saying the garages were too narrow to put cars in because they are, and that guy in the new middle cul-de-sac spent years covering his classic up with a tarp. Do you remember that one we thought was an open house when it was actually someone's moving day? I think it was that one by the alley near the chemist, you know, the one with the diagonal bit where no one's ever bothered to cut the corners of the bricks off. Remember how surprised that guy was when he saw us in his living room? How he politely told us we should leave with an "if you don't, I don't know what to do" stare, and remember how many times we said sorry and how we somehow held our laughter in until we got to the alley? Did you know it's only 300 meters from here? I measured it on my GPS. I guess it always felt like further when I wasn't tall enough to see my old bedroom window from the footbridge. You know, I know we'd be time wasting, but there's one for sale in the cul-de-sac by Nan's if you fancy the look. I'd help you over the bridge, and I just think it'd be fun, you know, just for old time's sake. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And I have great pleasure to introduce our next poet. So our next poet, Squigs, is a first-generation Filipino who was born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada. And he writes poetry and short stories, and has also been published in a number of publications and anthologies in Canada. He's currently a student at the University of Manitoba and is also studying to enter the Faculty of Environmental Design. For the past 10 years, he's been a regular host of the weekly Caravan Open Mic based out in Winnipeg, and has also been featured at Nottingham Poetry Festival and Chicago Global Poetry Festival. A fine poet, a fine person. Please welcome Squigs.
Hey everyone, thank you. And thank you to all the poets who read and ones who will. It's great to have a reunion again with the PGN family. I'll be reading from the book, my piece, What if Lieutenant Commander Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation, fell in love with Sadako, the ghost from The Ring. Trade horror for perplexity. Exchange terror for query. To one who exists as a permanent question, unwrapping mysteries is a birthday. To one who cannot die, watching others die must appear like a magic trick. An automaton looking dumbfounded woos a ghost in the TV. We are both cursed to be facades of others who once had faces. For a ghost is the answer to a mystery an android keeps asking. What does it mean to be human? To be mortally wounded by impermanence? Though I am designed to exceed human limitations, I am still an imitation of a man. Am I a real boy? Are ghosts real? God created Eve in 6 days. Will you dance with me disembodied on the 7th? Your touch is beyond my reach. In my throat lives the mechanical silence. My memory banks overflow as your well deepens. An echo in reverse as a doll celebrates a curse. Your sister is pregnant with your shadow, and she planted your hair in a mirror. Our parents are a story we keep telling each other each time you take my hand. My brother holds half of my heart, and he keeps it in a fingernail. My mother is a sculpture my father made of her. My daughter kissed a boy in a bar and died. Though we are not biodegradable, but the echo of the universe. There is a telephone in my belly where I would keep you breathing, as radiation that wells from your fingerprints scratches stone and would free me from template. Somewhere in the static we are learning to be fluent in, our answer ignites. This is my hand, though it may not be attached to me. It belongs to no one else. I am the boy with moondrops in his eyes. You are the girl feathered by hair as dark as the raven I dream of being. We are gold and we are shadow. Thank you. And now it is a great honor for me to introduce our next poet, major contributor to community here, Mr. Eric Tinsay Vallès, who draws inspiration from all the places he has called home. He has published the poetry collections A World in Transit and After the Fall, Dirges Among Ruins, as well as co-edited Get Lucky, an anthology of Singapore and Philippine writings, SG Poems 2015-2016, Anima Methodi, The Nature of Poetry, The Atelier of Healing, A Given Grace and Finding God in All Things. His poetry has been featured in Southeast Asian Review of English, Routledge's New Writing, and other journals. He has won the Go Sin Tub Creative Writing Prize, as well as the Illumination and the E-Lit Book Awards. He has been invited to read poetry on oral commentaries at Baylor, Melbourne, and Oxford universities, as well as the Kistrek Poetry Festival. And he's the director of the Poetry Festival Singapore. And I give you now Eric Vallès. Thank you.
A very warm evening to all of you from Queen Green, Singapore. And we've just started the Poetry Festival here. And over the next weekend, we're going to have plenty of readings on the Poetry Festival Singapore Facebook page. Please try to check them out. I'm reading a poem about intergenerational trauma. It's set in Pennsylvania, from Massachusetts, where I had a short residency some years back. It also touches on the theme of the Poetry Festival this year, which is sojourners. I just want to explain, the ending mentions canting, that's C-A-N-T-I-N-G. That's a knife that's used for batik art on garments. This is, and I'm also shortening this piece because we're about to end tonight's reading. This is Christine's lament from Ashfield, Massachusetts to Singapore. Propeller-like blades whirring about a round hub provide safe, non-fattening entertainment for hours. They make you forget that you forget sometimes, even as long as 3 months, that you no longer share a home with your husband, that you failed as mom to Kenneth, your 3-year-old son, that you lost that last shot at a college promotion, that Papa was dying with cancer. You raise a clenched fist at the petrified pine trees. It took months for me to walk to Ashfield Lake and look at scraps of my past, brown bullhead, ash trees, the corners where my little boy played. Papa's sudden death made me want to jump in the lake. My mind sometimes leapt like a skittish stag. At other times, it was a black bear, lurking and scavenging among trash. The lake made me remember who I am. I recalled baby blankets soaked in tears. I screamed Papa till my voice was hoarse. I got lost opening and closing doors, popping Xanax and zonking out on Lou Reed. I was floating face up on Ashfield Lake, reaching out to kiss the white wisps of clouds. Papa was the lake, large, cold, and murky, brooding, never standing still. My migraines stung as I gawked at big metal signs, garish, more green than clumps of trees that we passed on the desolate highway. Papa wanted a garden, so we planted red roses in a 2-story terraced house on Martaban Road. His Taiwanese friend put money into a garment factory after the war. Papa visited the States to sell gloves. He wanted me to be a lady, so he enrolled me in boarding schools and Smith College, so I could write like Sylvia Plath. Propeller-like engine blades wheeled magic. They covered great swaths of the sky, from Logan to Narita, and at last, Changi. The air hostess's Sarang Kibaya print swirled like roses in Papa's garden, like in Papa's batik art many years ago, before he became distant as he grew old. Wax dried up and caked in his canteen. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Eric. And as always, I mean, you deliver poetry that speaks volumes, and it does represent so much depth on the stories that you have witnessed or that had been passed on to you also, or you've imagined. And that goes with everyone here for tonight. But before I let you go, yeah, you thought I'm not going to be asking questions. Oh, yes, I'll be asking questions for tonight. Okay, so I was wondering, Frog, for you, how would you describe your journey of like after you first wrote your first poem? How did it feel like for you?
My first poem that I wrote was enhanced by my 5th grade teacher, Kim Englert. So after I read it, and what I guess you'd say, she gave me that reciprocative installment of like, this is good, you should continue to write more. That actually gave me enough power within myself to go like, okay, all these other kids around me aren't writing, maybe I should write, and then go from there. but it made me feel like I actually could do something in my life or get somewhere. And then when Florence Henderson, which is an actress that played in the Brady Bunch, I met in 1998 or 9 as a youngster at a poetry convention in Florida. She told me to, after she heard me, to never stop writing and to always continue. And I've fought since then to take her words as actual divine truth and a law of literature and go for it. So yeah.
All right. I mean, it's about really going for it, like going forward for it, you know. And I think kaleidoscope in general can have that effect also, to look into it forward, you know. And speaking of colors, I wonder, Mr. Mark Fishbein, I mean, your wisdom, of course, is well grounded in our scene. And I was wondering, if you would choose a color in the spectrum, what would be the color of the current generation of poetry for you? What would be that color?
The current generation of poetry.
Yeah.
Beige.
Ooh,
beige.
Why did you say that?
It's a mixture of stage and page poetry, and I don't think it's evolved yet to a point where they both have met in a common place, and I think that's going to be the future of poetry. And I'm excited about it because poetry always has to change. And we're in a place right now where the page poets are not being listened to because they're just too out there and abstract and just not part of the general culture. The page poets and the stage poets have not yet adopted the heavy craft that goes into writing poetry in some respects. So that's going to be coming, and that's what I look forward to, and that's what I enjoy the young generations I watch here doing poetry.
Wow, Mark, like beige.
I wasn't expecting a question, so it just came out of nowhere.
No, that's the point of the question. Now, I actually now wonder, because I have Lawin here beside me, and I'll ask him a question. I wonder, for you, Lawin,
Yes.
what color would you describe the future of your poetry?
My poetry.
Yes.
In mine?
Yes.
My poetry is always in black and white, guys. It's always in black and white. All right. But here's the thing. When given the discussion of stage or page, I don't fucking care. It's just like, bring your fucking rage, right? Bring everything you are to it, because the world deserves it, because you owe it to the world to honor your gifts. And every time you pull back, you are cheating all of us of the thing you are. So there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Right beside me. And don't worry, guys. We will have a special edition on these question and answer, because you know what? Every single person here will be asked. But for now, I think part of the journey of poetry is to also listen to the people around us. And that is what we did today, passing on from the very beginning to the very end. We pass on that color, and that is such a beautiful way of describing poetry in every space of the world. So here at Poetry Global Network and also at Poetry Festival Singapore 2023, this is Kaleidoscopoetry. It is available on Amazon, and Mark Fishbein will be putting that link down below also. Look at that, Eric. Yes. So if you want that copy, which I think you should have, you can get that on Amazon.com. So thank you so much to Poetry Festival Singapore, Arts Council of Singapore, for providing our space. And of course, thank you, Eric, for always supporting not just PGN, but so many voices that would love to find, well, a home. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you very much to Poetry Global Network and Lacan, and see you again soon.
Yes. Well, actually, the festival's not done yet, if I'm not mistaken. Nope. So people, please go to Poetry Festival Singapore and catch more of their activities, because you know what? You might find your next adventure there. So now, no, the program's not done yet, because the story continues, the journey continues, and the color continues. Now we're going to be going to the open jam, and my good friend, Jersey Jesus, Nick Paleologos of PGN, will be our host. Yes, take us home to church, people. In behalf of PGN, my name is Lacan, and maraming salamat. Thank you so much, everyone.
Good here. What's up? And we're still recording. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad that that was recording. What's up, people? Welcome to the Open Jam. Right now, I am your host right now, the great and ever powerful Jersey Jesus, as I've been called numerous times, and also known as Nick Paleologos. It has been a long time since I've hosted online. I can't even remember the last time I even hosted online, because I've been undergoing renovations over here where I'm at for the last 7, now going on 8 months now, and it's pretty much done. So my life is slowly getting back to normal now. So you'll probably see more and more of me soon, and everything too as well. And with that being said, I'm not going to go any further into that and everything too. We're going to have this open jam. As in open jam, as in you're going to come on up here. You're going to go ahead and spit your shit and everything. That'd be kind of like a little mini bottoms up, I guess. I mean, if Serena approves of that. The little mini bottoms up and everything. So take your shots and everything like that. That sort of deal and everything too as well. And you don't have to worry about rushing up to the stage. I will be the humble, sacrificial poet and everything too as well. I know it's been a long time since people have heard me before. So I definitely want to get on this and definitely want to give you this poem that I have been working on. It is a new piece of mine. It is new. And whoever wants to take their shots afterwards, come on up and everything too. But here we go. This is my newest and latest piece. Hi, I'm Nick. It's nice to meet you. I got a quick